Hey, what's up, everybody? So I want to finish off the videos that I was making. I made the review and showed you guys grain to grain. So I had to do some of this stuff anyway. So I'm gonna show you guys spore prints, or at least explain. I won't be able to show you too much of the spore print, but I will show you one, and I'll show you how I do that. So if you guys are, this is what I'm about. This is what my whole goal in this whole process of me growing. I'm all about the spore print, because when you get the spore print, there's both benefits to it. That's where it comes. That's where the syringes come from. Our spore prints. That's where the foragers go out in the forest, or the cow pastures, wherever they're finding these mushrooms. That's where everybody's getting this shit from. Is they put the spore print onto either a paper, a certain type of paper, or a foil. And I don't have paper, so I use foil. Oh, not the Cambodians. The Cambodians, I didn't really get to only eat one on the Cambodians, and then I gave the rest away. I'm gonna try to fruit those ones again. So I'm going to open up one of these ones. Not the Kosaomis, F pluses. No. The Florida whites are really they're really potent too. Florida whites are a lot of visuals and a lot of colors. Do the Roto Honduras. The Rotown Honduras. Okay, so pretty much when you're making a spore print, there's a couple things you need to consider. See, I got all these. I have all this is full of spore prints, and all these are full of spore prints of different strains. I have like 28 of them. And these will stay good in the fridge for 3 years easily. Some spore prints have been known to stay good 15, 20 years. One of the oldest known ones was a certain strain. The guy had it in the back of his car for a long time, and he finally gave it to somebody who knows what they're doing, a mycologist, and it was hard to colonize, but they got it to colonize, and once they colonized it and they made another print, bam, it was introduced into the industry, and people were able to take advantage of it. So what you want to do is, when you're making a spore print, if you don't know, you want to wait for the cap to open up, but not open up all the way, and not too closed, because if it's too closed, it's not going to drop as much spores. It's not ready to. And if it's open up to all the way, it's going to drop. It's going to drop them, but it's going to dry. And it's not going to drop as much, because it's already opened up too much. And you have to have a perfect. It has to be perfect. We want dense, dark spore prints. And a print will be just like, if you look under the cap, it's going to be identical to the veils underneath it. It's exactly like a fingerprint. And that's where the kids are. Those are the children of the mushrooms. There's cloning. You could take a piece of the mushroom, a fresh mushroom, and cut a piece off of it and put it on agar. That's a clone. It'll grow just identical to what you. That's a clone to what you have. You want to do that to a certain mushrooms that are huge, something you like. But when it comes to a spore print, it drops them, and you're able to grow the strain. Not the identical of the strain, but just the strain itself will stay good. So what I do is I will in sterile procedures. I recommend always sterile procedures when it comes to spore printing, because they could get contaminated just by touching them. And I'm risking it doing this, but I got a lot of this strain, and I don't care. I'm showing you guys what's up, so I'm not concerned. I rather take the risk, if I can show you guys. So I'm gonna open this one up, and how I do is I make like a little tiny envelope with the foil, and I stick the spore in it. Oh man, see this one? The Ecuadors. Not very dark, not very dense, because of the fact that I probably put it on the cap on there, or it just does it. Some strains will not produce dark spores, and I think it's the Ecuadors is one of them. So I put 2 caps on there. You can see they're small caps, and it's probably one of the first ones I did, because I always fruit the first ones. And you can see what you'll do is you'll stick the cap. Once you take it off the mushroom, you cut it off the stem at the base, and you stick it on the foil. Then you cover it with something other than, use glass and don't use metal, because it causes over excess moisture. So I'll use a plastic container and cover it. Stick it in the steel air box, and leave it for 24 hours, and then it'll drop it. So once that happens, once you see the cap is open up to a certain point, you want to take it. And sometimes you don't want to take it when it's too dry, because if it gets too dried out, it's gonna do this. This is probably where it's dried. It's gonna be not as much spores. It's not gonna drop as much. So once you cut the cap off and do that, you stick them on. You put them on the foil. You cover it with the plastic. You wait 18 to 24 hours. I recommend. Some people wait 12. And then I make a little tiny envelope. I just kind of fold a foil in half, and I make a little little case for them. You know what I mean? Little tiny place to put them. And I like doing this because it doesn't. Some people fold them on the foil and just fold them with the spore print on them. I didn't like it. I felt like it would damage, and whatever. I like doing it this way, but people do it that way too. They just they fold it with one piece of foil. So what you do is this right here will stay good, and anytime I want to grow it, I have an option to grow it without buying another damn syringe from a vendor. One print can make up to 15 to 20 syringes. So you figure you're buying a syringe for $10 to $20, and you get a spore print, you could save a lot of fucking money. But you got to be sterile, because if the spore print comes contaminated, you're not going to be able to fruit it. It's just a waste of grains or substrate. So what you want to do is, the choice way to do it, the best way to do it, is put it on agar. You'll get some agar, and you sanitize it. It comes in a powder form, and you mix it with distilled water into a little jar, and you sanitize that jar, and then let it dry, let it cool down, and then you'll pour. Actually, you'll cool down as a liquid. It'll be a little bit. You'll pour that into petri dishes, they call them. They're little tiny plastic or glass dishes, small, round, and you'll pour the agar into there. You'll let it solidify. It'll get like wax. You'll get the spore print on the foil, and you'll scrape the print. You don't need a lot spores. You just need maybe a corner of it, less than a third. Less 2 times less than a quarter of it. A small amount, depends. You can put a lot, or you can put a little bit. If you put a lot, you're gonna get something growing. If you put a little bit, you can make a lot of syringes. So the bonus of using the spore print, you get either 2 ways of colonizing it. You could just throw that spore print right onto some rye berries in a jar, and you could fruit it, and you could colonize it that way. It's not recommended. I've done it before, and it works. But when I did it with the Hawaiians, and it was my last print, and I did it while I was on mushrooms, and I had to get, I don't give a fuck attitude, because I had to get the rye berries inoculated, and they all came contaminated. Pink. It was all pink in there. So right away I threw all of them away. But it worked. If I would have did it right, it would have worked just fine. Throw it right onto a grain. The best way to do it, put it on the agar. You put it on the agar, a couple days, you'll start seeing mycelium grow. Once the mycelium starts getting, a certain percentage, it'll either continue to colonize fully white, or you'll see purple, pink, yellow, black, whatever contaminate color. Any other color than white, it contaminates. So that whole print is contaminated. You toss it out. And I haven't done experiments on it, but I've done research on it. So I want to make sure I tell you guys what's up. I haven't done that, but I know what's up because I read, and I read my guy, Paul Stamets, and the Roadrunner, Mark Keith. I follow those two mycologists because they're the main guys who invented most of the shit that we do today. And people, I tell them I do that, and they're, oh, these guys are old. Their ways are all old. Nothing changes when it comes down to the basis of mycology. It's not like electronic that it's obsolete. You could just do things differently by adding bee pollen or adding worm castings. So the things I'm telling right now, if I find out it's wrong as far as me telling you the whole print is contaminated, I'll let you guys know, because as far as I'm considered, if a piece of the print is contaminated, the whole fucking print's contaminated, unless it's just a coincidental or just a fluke that you got that one part of the print. But you could put the whole print on other pieces of jars, and you can see, no matter what, you'll see colonized white or it has color. The bonus of that, you don't have to waste a grain. You don't have to waste substrate. So if you throw that whole agar with fully colonized mycelium, stick that right into a jar of grains like the rye berries I have. You don't shake it. You leave it sitting right there. Normally you would shake it throw a print on there. You would shake it a little bit. I do grain to grain. I shake them. Agar you don't, because mycelium it has to recover. And it takes time to recover. So if you throw it and you start shaking it, it falls off the agar and it has to recover on the agar. It's a process. So you don't have to worry about wasting the pasteurization of the manure or wasting the sanitation of the rye berries. And that's the basis of mycology. That's like the fundamentals right there. That's need to know shit. So that's the bonus of doing the prints. That's where it comes from. You either do those two ways of colonizing, or you just make a syringe out of them. And how you make a syringe, which I haven't done, I researched it, and I'm going to be doing that next. Agar and syringes I'm going to be doing next. You get the spore prints, and you get a little shot glass, distilled water. You sanitize them in a pressure cooker. Not the print though, just the equipment. The glass, the water, it all has to be sanitized. Distilled water. And so you'll get a loop. It's called an inoculation loop, and it's for stirring it. And if it doesn't, you don't use a knife. You use the loop, and you stir the solution and into wherever you put the print in, whatever container you're putting the print in. You suck up the water first, and then you push it onto where the print's at. You stir it up, get it all broken up. You suck it up again. Push it out again. That way more spores are coming in. More you do that, more you inject it and pull it out. You keep doing about 3 or 4 times. It breaks up the spore print, and you get more. And you do that, and then you finally the last one you suck up all the rest of it, because you're what you're doing is you're sucking up the water into 10 cc's, the full syringe, and then the print wherever it's at. You put the water in a little bit, and then you put the print on there, and then you put the rest of the water in. So there's only that measurement is only enough for one syringe. So you'll just suck up the rest, do that back and squirt it out, suck it up, and then until you get all of it. And then you could put some type of certain type of like petroleum jelly. What that does is it brings the spores into suspension. They're not going to stick to the sides of the syringe. So when you've got them in suspension, they're floating around, like the ones that were floating around. That's when you can tell they're suspended into the liquid, the distilled water. That's your syringe, and you either inoculate it right away, or stick it in the fridge, save it for a year. Spore syringes will stay good for a year. They could stay longer, but the fact that it starts diminishing after a year. I've heard 3 years sometimes. Spore prints, minimum 3 years, up to 15 I've read. So depends on how you handle it and what you're doing. You don't want to introduce any type of syringe to light. You don't want to keep them under a light or heat, because it's gonna kill the the print that's inside of there. That's why darkness and to room temperature, not too hot. Best thing is put it in the fridge. It's dark in there anyways, and it stays fresh. So when I do this within the next two weeks, because I'm very, very interested. I did the grain to grain. What's next? Agar, culture slants, liquid cultures, and spore syringes. So I'm gonna start doing all that stuff, and I'll make the video and I'll let you know what's up. I got to do the experiments first before I start letting you guys know. I'm letting you guys know right now because I just want to show you guys what's up with the spore prints, and give you my little bit of knowledge that I have for it. You know what I mean? Don't consider it until I actually do the experiments, unless unless you want to experiment too. Because if I'm wrong and you guys mess up, I'm gonna feel like shit. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be like, it's my fault that you guys fucked up. That's why I'm letting you guys know is, if you want to do it, but don't take my advice 100%. I'm like 80-90% sure that's how you do it because of all the research I did. But I'm not 100% until I start doing it myself. So when I do it within the next couple weeks, first thing I'm going to do is do the agar, because I'm fascinated with it. And then I'm going to do the spore print of the syringes. And remember, steps at a time. So I'm going to master the agar, then I'm going to master the spore syringes and liquid culture, then spores, and then culture slants, then cloning. Because I'm not really interested in cloning. It's easy. Take a piece, cut a piece, and throw it on there. So other than that, you can see I keep them in the containers. There's 28 of them in here. Each one has about 5 or 6 prints. Because I'll take, as soon as the first fruit comes along, I take that one and put right away onto a piece of foil, and then the next one I'll do the same thing, and I'll sterile procedures, gloves, mask, and then glove box, the steel air box, and then bam, I'll put them in the fridge, and that's where they stay until I'm ready. Other than that, I hope I at least, if I'm boring you guys, I'm fucking sorry, but I haven't done this topic yet, so at least I'm giving you guys some little bit of knowledge, and then what I'll do is I'll demonstrate it while I'm doing it, like I did with the ride grains and all the other type of experiments I do. That way you guys can see it, and if you're interested in doing that kind of stuff, you know what I mean, when you're there, and you have any kind of concerns, you could consider, if I'm successful at it and I'm doing it right, you could consider, following some of the things, following some of the steps of how to do it through me. That's why if they delete me, YouTube may delete me after they find out shit. The knowledge I'm given. All they have to do, they used to read the description that we put shrooms on the description or mushrooms. That's all they had to do is read the description. Now I put the mycology, so they're gonna have to watch in order to determine whether it's considered dangerous or whatnot. So if they do delete me, I'm gonna be on another channel. I'll let you guys know what's up, because they give you 3 strikes. They'll flag you, and then bam, you're out. I didn't give a shit last time. I was like, I already did everything. It's like. And I was disappointed because I couldn't do it anymore. But that was like two months ago that happened. So that's why I got back into it. Once I started doing the horse manure, and I had to come back and start showing. Me too. I like to go back and I'll watch these things when I'm fucking 80 years old. I'll be watching them like, damn, I remember when I was that age and I was doing that shit. It's a memory. I keep memories alive as far as I can, as long as I can, and that's what this is all about: keeping a memory and keeping a strain alive for as long as I can. And like I said, if you're doing prints, you could keep that alive as long as you keep making them. So what you do is you'll colonize the print, fruit it, do another print, keep it, do another colonize, fruit, drop another print, do that forever. No more buying off a fucking vendor. You can even make your own damn syringes off of one print, 15, 20 syringes, sell them for a fucking, you could become a vendor. and make a fucking killing, because there's a lot of people who are interested in this shit. Other than that, guys, I'll let you guys go, and thank you for watching. If you are, if you have any concerns or questions, let me know. All right, later.